our channel.
Beauty blogger who suddenly starts sprouting flowers all over her body. I know. Sounds crazy, right? Then there's this vending machine that's spitting out bright red liquid instead of soda. And to top it off, a wealthy socialite obsessed with beauty is trying to eliminate beautiful women. Enter Dakyung. Dakyung is our main character, and she's an aspiring horror story YouTuber. The problem? Her channel is basically a ghost town. She desperately needs a hit, a viral sensation, something to put her on the map. Dakyung hears whispers of these bizarre events at the train station and sees her opportunity. She decides to investigate, hoping to uncover the truth behind these spooky urban legends. However, things become complicated when she attempts to speak with the station chief. Turns out, the station chief isn't too happy to talk, because he doesn't want to profit from other people's tragedies. But Dakyung's done her research. She knows the station chief has a serious drinking problem. Her grandfather happens to own a liquor factory and makes incredible soju. Knowing this, Dakyung shows up at the station with a bottle or two from her grandfather's factory. The station chief's eyes light up like Christmas. Capitalizing on this opportunity, Dakyung asks the station chief to tell her what he knows, and after a bit of convincing, the station chief agrees to tell her some stories, but only after he has a drink. He takes a long swig and begins to spin a truly disturbing tale. Years ago, he says, there was this guy named Han Riang riding the subway. He spots a woman with long hair relentlessly banging her forehead against the train doors. At first, he thinks he's just seeing things because he's a little tipsy. He gets off at the next station to grab a coffee and sober up. But when he switches trains, he sees the same woman. This time, she's slamming herself against the doors even harder. By now, all the other passengers have cleared out, leaving only Han Riang and this creepy woman. A wave of dread washes over him, and he quickly moves to another train car to get away. Just then, his mom calls, asking if he's been drinking again. Not wanting to worry her, Han Riang lies and says he's sober. As they're talking, his mom abruptly hangs up and sends him a video. The video shows the same long-haired woman outside the station, relentlessly smashing her head against the wall. Han Riang starts sweating bullets. It's definitely the same woman. Then, an old man in the train car also begins banging his head against the side of the train. Next thing Han Riang knows, the lights on the train go out. He quickly pulls out his phone to use as a flashlight, but when he looks around, the old man is gone, and the creepy woman is standing right in front of the train car door. Han Riang is terrified and tries to run, but the woman doesn't let him go. At that moment, Han Riang spots a headless body staggering toward him. Overcome with fear, he wakes up in a cold sweat. It was all a dream. Han Riang sees the old man sitting in the corner of the car, and, looking around, he can't find the creepy woman. Seems like he is finally safe. However, after what he experienced, he never dared to ride the subway again. As the loudspeaker announced the train's arrival, he rushed to get off. But here's the thing. The exit he stepped onto had been abandoned for years because of a terrible accident. He's trying to figure out where he is when that familiar thumping sound starts up again. He turns around and sees the woman. But as soon as he turns back forward, she's right behind him. She shoves him onto the tracks and vanishes. Gone. Because the security cameras captured nothing, the whole thing was ruled a suicide. The station chief finishes his bottle of soju and basically kicks Dakyung out. Her ideas to her producer, Rina, a rival beauty blogger. Rina's got a huge following, we're talking serious numbers. She's got more followers than Dakyung has subscribers. And Rina isn't exactly known for her kindness. She's a real mean girl who likes to be better than everyone. She scoffs at Dakyung's horror story plans, telling her she should give up on the channel and find a real job. But Dakyung isn't fazed. She just gets more determined to make her channel a success. The next day, Dakyung brings another bottle of top-shelf soju to the station chief. He sees the bottle and his eyes light up again. Because the soju is so good, he nods and begins a second story. Years ago, there was a female high school student who spent a fortune on completely redoing her face with plastic surgery. On the train, she saw a natural beauty named Miju, and a dark, twisted envy began to grow in her heart. The way this girl was glaring at her made Miju uncomfortable, so she moved to a corner of the train. There, she saw her tutor who had a crush on her. The tutor tried to get closer to Miju, but he was already in a relationship, and his girlfriend was also on the train, so Miju got flustered and moved away. When Miju got off at her stop, even though no one was behind her, she felt like she was being followed. When she turned around, she saw nothing, but a second later, the girl who had surgery was standing right in front of her. Miju was terrified and ran to another train car, looking for help. When she turned around again, the girl was gone. But quickly, she found her hiding behind a pillar, holding a bottle of strange liquid. She started to get closer. Miju pulled out her camera and took a picture, but the girl was not in the photo. The liquid that fell on the ground immediately burst into white smoke. Miju realized it was acid and ran away in fear. She hid in the bathroom and called the police, saying that a strange person was targeting her. The police asked her to give a specific location and describe the woman. Miju started to explain, but suddenly realized that she had only said she was being chased by a crazy person. How could the police on the other end of the line know it was a woman? She looked up in surprise and saw the woman holding the bottle of liquid in the cubicle. Immediately after, the woman poured the liquid on Miju. Just like that, a teenage girl was gone. The station chief, now thoroughly drunk, sends Taekyung on her way again. After that, Taekyung goes to the station to gather information about the plastic surgery girl's case and makes a video overnight. In the video, when she reviews the security footage, she discovers a shadowy figure inside the vending machine. The next day, Taekyung heads back to the station with another bottle of that good stuff. The station chief sees the soju, and he's ready to spill more tea. When Taekyung asks about the shadowy figure in front of the vending machine, the station chief launches into another crazy story. Years ago, there was this guy who was a total alcoholic. His family fell apart, his wife and kids left him, and he had nowhere to go. He could only live by picking up scraps or finding coins to put in vending machines at the subway station, just scraping by every day. One day he found a red coin. Earlier that day, while he was using the bathroom, a thug tried to rob him. Luckily, the homeless man had nothing of value, and the thug didn't know what the red coin was, so he left. Furious about losing the money, the homeless man was devastated, screaming into the night. He thought he was going to go hungry again. A red vending machine appears in the station, and it said it only takes red coins. Elated, he put the coin in and got a can of drink. But when he opened the can, it was empty. As he was getting angry, he suddenly noticed that a person waiting for the train on the other side of the platform had disappeared, leaving only their clothes and wallet behind. The homeless man took the clothes into the bathroom and, sure enough, found a wallet with some money and 2 red coins. He used the money for a good meal, and then he bought another red drink. Coincidentally, the same thug from earlier that day reappeared. The homeless man frantically opened the can, and immediately the thug collapsed, his entire body disappearing, leaving only his clothes. Immediately, the thug reappeared naked in the vending machine, struggling for a few seconds before completely disappearing, and next to his clothes, 3 more red coins appeared. At this point, the homeless man understood what the vending machine did. Overjoyed, he rushed over to go through the thug's stuff, earning a lot of extra money. From then on, he started targeting passengers around the train station, accumulating money, getting back into drinking, and adding to his bad habits. Until one day, the guy got drunk and returned to the station, where he saw a long-haired person in ragged clothes lingering in front of the red vending machine. Looking closely, he realized it was himself from a few months ago. He immediately felt uneasy. The homeless man opened the can of drink, and he was immediately trapped in the vending machine. In just a second, he disappeared without a trace, leaving only a set of clothes on the floor. When the station chief finishes his liquor, the third story comes to an end. Taekyung returns to the studio to make a video and upload it to the channel. Possibly because she's been working for days straight, she collapses from exhaustion and dozes off on the job. She dreams of becoming a famous YouTuber, even getting together with the handsome producer. But just a second later, she wakes up and returns to work. Coincidentally, she sees the producer flirting with Rina, who even turns around to taunt her. At this moment, she realizes the producer has a crush on Rina. From that point on, Taekyung channeled her sadness into motivation, pouring her heart and soul into her work and treating the studio like her home. The third video gave her channel another massive boost in subscribers. She took the opportunity to go back to the station chief to hear more stories about the subway station. This time, though, even with the good wine, the station chief wouldn't reveal anything. He said he was in terrible health, didn't have much longer to live, and didn't want to get involved anymore. Dejected, Taekyung went back to her studio. When she got there, it was completely empty, which worried her a little. Then, suddenly, the lights went on and everyone jumped out to congratulate her. Turns out, her channel had surpassed 1 million subscribers, and the company had prepared a surprise party for her. Taekyung happily went through all the fan comments when she saw one person insisting that she take down all the videos related to the train station. Taekyung, sensing a good content lead, messaged the fan, agreeing to meet at a nearby cafe. On the day of the meeting, a mysterious woman in dark sunglasses showed up. As soon as they met, she immediately demanded that Taekyung delete the videos. Taekyung didn't agree right away, asking for a reason. After hesitating for a moment, the woman finally revealed that not long ago, she had experienced a spiritual event at the station and that it was related to a cult that had disappeared many years ago. As she spoke, she took off her sunglasses, and Taekyung saw a very scary scar on her right eye. Right at that moment, the girl saw the demon behind her, screaming in horror and running out of the coffee shop. When she got back, Taekyung immediately researched information about the cult. She discovered that many years ago, this organization had taken the lives of many people as sacrifices, and that the so-called station was actually built on the site of the cult's old base. No wonder so many bizarre things happened there. But right now, Taekyung's channel is growing extremely fast, and even though she knows there is danger, she can't easily give up. She's determined to make her channel surpass Rina's. Not long after, she went back to the station chief, begging him to tell her more about the urban legends of the subway station. Finally, the station chief told her another story. Not long ago, a female beauty YouTuber came to the subway station. That YouTuber was Rina. Because she had a deep knowledge of beauty, she attracted a large number of followers. One day, while riding the train, she accidentally touched a yellow liquid. The disgusting feeling made her very upset, and she kept wiping the strange liquid off her hands. Because she wasted a few seconds, she missed her stop and had to go one station further. After returning to the studio, she saw the producer talking to Taekyung, so she went to interrupt, mocking Taekyung for her poor skills and telling her that she should get a new job. This made the producer unhappy, and he demanded that Rina apologize to Taekyung. Rina acted all calm, just saying it's good for colleagues to encourage each other. As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly started coughing up blood. Rina quickly ran to the bathroom to clean herself up and noticed strange red spots appearing on her palms. She immediately went to the hospital, where the doctor diagnosed her with a possible allergy to touching something and prescribed anti-allergy medication. Leaving the hospital, she ran into Taekyung and was about to make a snide comment when she coughed up blood again, this time even more than before. Rushing to the bathroom, she saw that both of her hands were stained red, and more horrifyingly, her flesh was rapidly rotting. This gruesome scene startled Rina awake. It was all a nightmare. She checked her hands, and everything was normal except for a few red patches. Just then, there was a commotion outside. Turns out Taekyung had just reached 1 million subscribers thanks to her Subway Legend video series, and everyone was having a celebration. Even though Rina wasn't happy, she had to pretend to join in. After the party, she somehow ended up on the subway. Lost in thought, she started coughing up blood again. She hurriedly rushed to the bathroom and found that her hands were rotting at the exact same rate as in her dream, and soon it had spread all the way to her neck. Anxious, Rina pulled out the ointment, but someone knocked on the door, asking if she was Rina. Thinking it was a fan, Rina angrily told them to go away. When she looked at her hands, she saw that tiny sprouts were growing out of the holes in her flesh and quickly spreading to her face. In the end, Rina died in the bathroom stall, her body covered in fresh flowers. Dramatic pause, maybe because she'd heard so many creepy stories. This time Taekyung wasn't too scared, and she continued to ask the station chief about the cult. The station chief revealed that there were rumors that the cult leader was still alive, but he didn't know the details. However, the station chief had a way for Taekyung to find out. He said that every week at exactly 3:34 a.m. on Friday, a special train would pass through the station, and the cult leader might be hiding on it. During this, Taekyung immediately made a plan. That night, she stayed at the train station until 3:30 a.m. As the time approached that the station chief had mentioned, she saw a man with a backpack who had a carrier bag for a cat appear in the station. The man was looking down, playing on his phone, but Taekyung always felt that he was secretly watching her. Soon after, the special train arrived at the station, but the man just sat there, not intending to get on the train. Taekyung hesitated for a moment and then decided to step on board to investigate. But in the blink of an eye, the man appeared on the train and stared at Taekyung. Feeling a cold chill down her spine, she quickly kept her distance and ran to the next train car, and the man immediately followed. Suddenly, the whole train went dark. When Taekyung turned on her phone flashlight, the man was right next to her. Utterly panicked, Jae-kyung ran with all her might. Just then, the train arrived at a station. She sprinted out the doors, and the man just stood at the doorway, not stepping outside. Jae-kyung thought she'd escaped disaster. But then she realized that the scenery around her looked very similar to the station she'd left from. The only difference was, this place looked older, more dilapidated, like it had been abandoned for a long time. Jae-kyung didn't rush straight for the exit, but started searching around, hoping to find a clue to help her escape. Unexpectedly, she saw a walkie-talkie with a strange shape. Jae-kyung picked it up and tried to contact the other end, and surprisingly, she heard the station chief's voice. Meanwhile, the police came to find Jae-kyung. The producer asked them what they needed her for. The police recounted that in Jae-kyung's videos, she'd mentioned interviewing the station chief of the subway station. However, a viewer complained that the station chief in the videos wasn't the real station chief. They said the person in the video was actually a station employee who had disappeared 3 years ago. Back with Jae-kyung, after hearing the station chief's voice, Jae-kyung thought she'd found a lifeline. But the station chief only recounted the story of what happened 3 years ago. At that time, he was working the night shift at the station with a security guard. The guard was the man with the cat backpack that Jae-kyung had met. The station chief saw a shadowy figure flash across the security monitor, so he told his colleague to go check it out. The guard reported back via the walkie-talkie that there was nothing there. The station chief thought he must have been mistaken, but the monitor flickered strangely again. He immediately called his colleague back, but there was no response. The station chief had no choice but to go into the tunnel to see for himself. Suddenly, a train behind him turned on its red lights. The station chief thought it was strange and climbed up to take a look when a hand slammed against the window, causing him to fall to the floor. Then there was the sound of clawing from the front of the train. The station chief went to open the door and found that there was no one in the driver's seat. At that moment, the train suddenly started moving. On the windows appeared countless mysterious symbols written in blood, and outside were full of ghostly hands pounding against the train walls. The station chief did his best to touch the emergency stop device, and finally, the train stopped. The blood marks and hands disappeared, but the train doors still wouldn't open. Just then, the walkie-talkie crackled with his colleague's voice. Thinking he was saved, the station chief hurriedly reported his location. But before he could be happy for 2 seconds, he saw someone holding his colleague's head. At that moment, the train started moving again, and this time the station chief never escaped. After finishing the story, Jae-kyung realized that she had somehow returned to the train car. This time, she was the one trapped. The station chief stood outside the train car door, saying this train would take her to meet the cult leader. Then the train started moving. At that moment, she saw another version of herself outside the window. She realized that the station chief and the station outside were not the real station chief or station. After they were trapped on the train, a substitute would appear outside. At this moment, the producer came to the station to find Jae-kyung to help her film. After waiting a long time, he got a little annoyed. Just then, Jae-kyung appeared and gave him a strange smile. Little did he know that the person in front of him was not Jae-kyung, but a substitute.